Welcome to the Lorain Promise Update. January 19, 1971, the legendary winning streak of the UCLA Bruins came to an end under Coach John Wooden. The winning streak of 88 games was something that was thought to be impossible to repeat and something no other team would do in sports history. Wooden attributed this winning streak to the ability to plan. He is quoted as saying, "Failing to plan is planning to fail." This mantra not only fuels many people, including myself, but is also something that has been inspiring others, including a long winning streak. The Lady Huskies of UConn recorded 111 wins in a row and won 4 consecutive national championships during that span. Their legendary coach, Auriemma, is quoted as saying, "It is about doing it in a way that can't be done better," something he has done year after year. I raise these two examples because their success isn't by accident. The intentionality in how they planned, expected excellence, experienced joy, and put winning ahead of everything else is second to none. This is the same mentality and passion I want us to experience as a district. I want us to win. To do that, it starts with doing what you say and saying what you are going to do. And that means solidifying our district and school leadership teams. Over the next few weeks, I will announce our senior leadership teams that will consist of 7 chiefs who will support the work we have been talking about for over the past 4 months. Parent engagement, curriculum, professional development, and coaching, all of which we want and need to improve to go forward. In addition, there will be new positions at school sites like the Dean of Scholar and Family Engagement and Dean of Academic Outcomes at each school, so that the turnaround principal will have the supports necessary to meet the expectations in their building. There will be a dashboard that will be available to provide insight on our individual and collective progress and will hold us all accountable for academic, social, emotional, and behavioral outcomes. So if you want more details, please go to AppleTrack. In August, I heard from all of you teachers explaining how hard it is to start new initiatives and many initiatives that you hear about at the last minute. That is not only ineffective, but it also is not well planned out, and I want to change that. To change that, it starts with planning. As we go into the 2018-2019 year, I promised you I would introduce you to the plans for next year early, in January, right now. Instead of us attempting to do many things, I want us to do a few things well. Next year, there will be only 5 initiatives, all intended to improve outcomes for teachers and scholars. These initiatives are directly aligned to the Lorain Promise, our strategic plan. With community and stakeholder input, these 5 strategies will lead to 5 specific initiatives. The first of which is around the whole child beginning at birth. We want to remove the barriers and bridges between families and schools. By focusing here, we will strengthen our parent university curriculum, introduce a school leader who will focus on scholar and family engagement, and connect directly with our community partners for more wraparound services for all of our scholars. 2, the Lorain Promise pushes us to invest in our early scholars. To start, we will continue to strengthen our K-2 literacy and numeracy across the district. Next year, the plan is to have pre-K in all of our buildings, including a dual language pre-K classroom in a number of our elementary schools. In addition to having an intervention block in each of our school days in each of our K-8 buildings so that our scholars are getting what they need and on a path to read more than 1 million words each year. Commitment 3 of the Lorain Promise pushes us to promote equity. And to start, we are looking at starting with Strategy 1, closing the opportunity gap. We need to create additional reasons for our scholars to come to school every day, and one way is to give them more opportunities to see the world around them. So scholars, you can anticipate having the opportunity to have 3 learning experiences outside of the school day. 1, that will take you to a college campus. 2, have an opportunity to see a career firsthand. And 3, to go to a cultural event that will expand your understanding of the world around you. Commitment 4 of the Lorain Promise has us focusing on how to create schools where adults and scholars can thrive. To begin this work, we believe Strategy 1, defining our vision for instructional excellence, is important, and focus our resources on creating a vision that puts in place an opportunity for us to have a clear direction for what instruction should look like, recognize growth and excellence amongst all of our teachers, and establish clear expectations for teaching and learning, and bring standards-based grading to all of our schools. Commitment 5 of the Lorain Promise assures that we are going to prepare our scholars for the world of tomorrow. To initiate that, we are preparing with expanding our access to diverse pathways of learning across subject areas. This will mean that we will increase access to technology and internships opportunities, redream what our high school schedule and experience could be for all of our scholars by bringing back early college and rethinking our CTE pathways, and bring our MBA scholars into spaces where they can be successful. So now what, you might ask? Well, first, I'm going to each school and having a little conversation with teachers, what I'm calling the lunch bunch, coming to your lunch times to hear your thoughts and make sure we're moving in the right direction. Also, for teachers and leaders who have additional feedback on the initiative, there is a survey that will be in your inbox today for you to provide your thoughts. It is your thoughts that will make these initiatives better and more complete for our schools next year. After I hear all of your feedback, I will finalize these initiatives and we will begin the implementation process by creating small voluntary task force teams of individuals at all levels of the organization and pilot some of these initiatives this year to get information on how these initiatives will play out for all of our schools next year. So we need to hear from you. We want to make sure you have everything you need to be successful before you go home this summer. And when you come back in August, teachers and leaders will have significant time to collaborate on what will make this school year, the 2018-19 school year, the best. So please consider providing your feedback and ensuring that we are off to a great start. Gino Oriema and John Wooden had teams of young men and women that did tremendous things. However, they all started by winning one game at a time. This is our first step, and we have a plan for it together, starting now. To close out this update, I have a few questions from scholars. Liz, what questions do scholars have?
Some of the scholars that have a few questions, they asked me when they found out that I was going to be coming here today, they asked me if I can ask you a few questions. So one of my questions are, will there be like more assemblies that have like more meaning towards them, not just a pep assembly that like it has no meaning, but like a meaningful assembly, like why is there so many fights at the school? Why is there this? Why is there that? Like,
I think that's a great question. And I think to answer that question, I think we need to have more assemblies. I even think we should meet on a weekly basis and have scholars come together and talk about problems or talk about things that are going on and maybe even bring in experts on these topics to come talk to us. I think that is something that I hope that the team next year is building towards as we start to rethink what high school will look like next year. So there are leaders right now thinking about what we want Lorain High to be and what it will look like for next year. And part of that is figuring out how to increase the scholar voice and give spaces for our scholars to talk with each other. So great question.
okay, thank you. My other question is there going to be a group that is going to talk to the 8th graders coming up from General Johnny, Southview, Longfellow, the 8th graders coming up, so on their first day of their freshman year next year, they know at least an idea of where they're going, so they don't get lost as much on the first day of school as like some of our freshmen did this year, because a lot of us didn't know where we were going at all.
I still don't know where I'm going sometimes, to be honest. That's a big building. I get it. So yes, I think it's a great idea. I had a conversation with the assistant superintendent just this week about creating potentially an 8th grade academy over the summer so that our scholars that are coming to the high school actually get a chance to be in the high school the summer before. And they can learn about the building and meet some scholars, and hopefully you're one of them that can give them some tours and some insight on how to be successful here. I think that's a great idea, and thanks for bringing it up.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, when is the studio going to be done? Because we have not been able to use the studio at all, and it's going on like 1.5 years now. And like we kind of have to like chase the people around that we need to record, and we can't ever just bring them to the studio because it's not done.
Got it. I love the question. I want us to get that studio done. So today, my word to you and to all of you out there is that I'm going to find out when we can get that done for you so that you don't have to come to my office. It's not the nicest office yet, so I want to come to you in your studio. So I will find out for you today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the interview. And thank you for being here for the Lorain Promise update. I'll see you next month.